Okay, back to work. I added a little bit more detail and a specular and a background, and now let's go back here. And this is the wrong shot. We got to go back to 701A. And then what we want to do is isolate her lip sync and render it out as an image sequence. Okay, so there's what we're going to see up in the corner. And so let's just check a few things. First of all, we're at full HD, 24 frames a second. We are doing pangs. In this case, we need to render into the correct folder. So let's go to L, Animate, Scenes, 701A, boom. And we'll call this Lip Sync. So it's going to create a folder. And just for completeness, we'll call this Lip Sync, period. Now, one thing you'll notice is that Blender just changed the period into an underscore. It is thinking for me. I don't like that. Please don't think for me. If I tell it to be a period, it should be a period. However, it is what it is. So now we go back here, and what we need to do is turn off the ink. Actually, I'm sorry. Turn off everything but the face. Now, we have this issue that that all we need is the mouth. We don't need anything else. Well, that's going to be easy to fix in Krita. So let's plan on fixing it in Krita. Let's now better check to see. Yeah, we got 60 frames. Let's see how it plays. Yeah, it's about right. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control F10, and it's going to render this out. So this is a comparatively expensive process because I'm going to have to bring all 60 lip sync frames into Krita, which is going to shoot the file size up quite a bit. But what I've found is if you crank your RAM usage up in Krita in your preferences, in other words, go into the Krita configuration, and I guess it'd be under performance. What I found, here we have a 12-core machine with a 16 gig of RAM, or is it 32? It might be 32 gig. This is a really hot machine. Now, if you compare this to my laptop, which is about as anemic as it gets, it actually has a Pentium processor. In both cases, when I crank the the memory is 32 gigs. So when I crank the all of these options pretty close to the max, Krita does not crash very often, and it seems to tolerate larger file sizes better, blah blah blah. Okay, so here we've got an image that's 72.3 megabytes. Well, watch what's about to happen. Let's go File, Import Animation Frames. And by the way, just to be safe, I'm going to add another layer here because I don't know if Krita is going to create a layer. So I'll just take a chance here and call this Lip Sync. And let's see if Krita loads the animation frames into that layer or actually creates a new one. I just don't recall which it's going to want to do. So here we go into the Lip Sync folder, select everything, and it all looks good. Boom. Okay. And it looks like it did create another layer for it. So that's pretty much what I expected, but I just wasn't sure. So Lip Sync. Okay, cool. So now we have the problem that the eyes are repeated. Actually, I don't think it's a problem. What I was going to say is that would be easy to fix. I'll go ahead and fix it to show how you would fix it. But all you would do is create a new layer, and then just to make it easy, take a nice bright color like red, and just color over everything that you don't want in the shot, which in this case is going to be the goatee, everything except the mouth. Alright, and then just change the mode to erase. Alright, so now if you take the lines and turn them off, you can see what happened. Now the truth is, in this case, it doesn't actually matter, and that step was not really needed. So I'm going to delete that again. Why? Well, because actually we want the lip sync to be somewhat transparent. Let's just dial it in here. Something like that. Yeah, probably about like that. All right, let's save our work. And so now we have both the ping and the Krita file. Ooh, what is this? Couldn't copy to its final location. Ooh, this is something that has not happened very often. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and circumvent that this way. Think about it this way. At this point, the shot's done. Okay, so let's save it in its ultimate destination anyway. So before I do that, let me go ahead and add another layer up above that's going to be my typical label layer, and let's just go ahead and label this. This is going to be negative 701 dash a dot ping dot crop. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. We no longer need to work in the scene folder. All right, and I'm going to actually just type this in correctly. So it's going to be 701-A dot ping. And then Krita will ask me if I want to also save it as a Krita file, which I do. Okay, so now everything's where it belongs anyway. And if I go back to the storyboard, what we should see... Oh, okay. Okay. That's actually the wrong image. So here's what we'll do. We're going to cheat because I didn't realize I'd never changed the name of these, and I really should. So I'm going to rename this to negative 701-A, and it's going to ask me, it should, okay, it can't do that, and I'll show you the reason why. This is kind of a rare thing that doesn't come up very often. So what I'm going to do is, the simple solution actually is just to delete this. And then we're going to take this image, drag it up here. And this is one of the nice things about the Fastone image viewer, is that it will remember this ordering. By the way, I'm about to sneeze. Sorry. Okay. So the Fastone image viewer will remember my locations. So cool. Now we've got the final shot where it needs to be. It looks like, based on the storyboard, that it's sitting nicely in the mix. Everything's looking about right. And we should be able to hit the old play button and see how it plays. Let's turn this layer off, and you again. You again. You again. Perfect. Save that. Actually, no, we don't want to save it. We want to save it now. Otherwise, if I turn this off and save it, the label won't be baked into the ping. So we'll just call this LBL. I'm really embracing a lot of shortcuts here. Like spec, SHD1, SHD2, paint. This should just be paint, not paint 2. LBL for label. Okay, so now we'll resave it and we're back in business. Okay, so now this can be closed. I'm not going to save the changes. There's no, well, okay, maybe I should. Actually, let's turn this back on and we'll save it. What the heck? And now we're going to go to B and carry on. Okay, if we go to the, okay, so this is the wide shot. So let me go back and look at our storyboard and see what's going on here. Yeah, 701B bop.blend, that's my roasted turnip. Okay, let's look at what happens. Okay. What I would say is, let's turn off her face. Let's go ahead and kill these layers one by one. Let's also turn off the isolating. So let's just see if we got what I hope we've got. Yes. Okay, so what we're going to be able to do here is actually we'll create the folder 701B, and then we'll take each of the elements and just save out the ink as a ping, and then all we need to do is create a 2-image sequence ping of Tianara doing this, and we've got everything we need. Literally just 4 static images to bring it in and make it all work. And let me see here. In this case, I think what we'll do, yeah, I would bring it into Blender as a background image if it wasn't for the timing of this and also the background. So therefore, let's just make sure that our save options are correct, because again, this is a little goofed up. Yeah, we don't want this. I'm gonna have to change this in my overall preferences. Okay, so this is gonna be saved in boom, 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 701-B. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to have... actually, you know what? We'll leave that blank for the moment. Okay, and I'm sure this is probably... yeah. And we want full sample. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go F10, and we'll save this in 701B as... this is the monkey silhouette. Boom. Alright. Cool. Now we'll turn this off. We'll skip Tianara. We'll skip her face. And we'll add the ink for Mel. Okay, let me check the animation here and see if Mel actually does anything. He does not, so we can go ahead and leave his face in there. And we'll do the same thing we did for monkey. Whoops. We're going to hit F10, and then we're going to hit F3 to save it. And we'll just call this Mel. Okay. So now, what we need to do is get her. Let's look at what she does. She says dialogue, and she moves her hand. However, she moves her hand, then talks. So I'm just going to do this the old school way, which is to just save them individually. So this is Tia -001, and I'm doing that because I want to trick Krita into seeing it as an image sequence. Okay. Strictly, that's not necessary, because actually in Krita, if you import animated frames, they're treated as an image sequence, no matter what order they're in. You can actually change the ordering if you want. So there's that. Okay, so now we got that. And now, just because we're here, and why the heck not, let's go ahead and render this as an image sequence properly. And we're going to put this in 701B, and we'll call this Tia lip sync. So it'd be nice if we didn't have to do all this housekeeping, but you know what? We do. So now what this does for me, again, silly old Blender, change my underscore, or my period into an underscore. The truth is, the whole period underscore thing only really matters if you're using OpenTunes, because OpenTunes won't recognize an image sequence unless it ends with dot and then 3 digits dot file extension. So with that, we hit Control F10, and it's going to render out the whole shot as lip sync, but that doesn't really concern us too much. We can jump back over here, kill this baby, and let's just actually create a new shot, full HD, and we'll add 2 layers. In fact, you know what? Let's do it this way, just for the heck of it. Let's grab this shot. Let's keep, hold it, cancel this. Let's retreat here. Okay, here's the actual workflow. Go to your storyboard, grab this, drag it into Krita. Okay, so now any changes or things I add to this will update the ping file in the storyboard and at the same time save it as a Krita file. Because I added a second layer which a ping file does not understand, when I go to save it, immediately I've got the option to save it thusly. However, I've just detected a problem. This is not 701B. Okay, so let's correct this. We're going to keep bumping into this same problem again and again, so let's fix it right now. This is 701B. So let's rename this 701-B. Okay, this one should be 701C. And rename 701D. Oops, that's 703D. Silly boy, silly boy. Alright, and then this one, better make sure this is correct as well. 705, so this one's correct. Okay, now we're back on track. 701B. Add a dummy layer. So now we are in good shape to go ahead and start bringing in the layers and have everything propagate quite nicely. So if we hit F5 to refresh this, we see that in 701B, Wango Bango, here's Mel. I wonder if Krita will remember the, let's see. Yes, it names it correctly, so that's cool. Okay, monkey silhouette. And then we're also going to file, import animation frames, and we're going for 701B, Tianara. We want these 2 images to be treated as a sequence. And this is Tia. And now we save our work. And not only does the not only does our storyboard update nicely, we also have full control of all of our layers as desired. Okay, so now we don't need this in there for now. This is the dummy layer I included, not necessary. Monkey silhouette. Let's just kind of take a stab here. Perfect. That's that. And now we're going to deal with Mel. Okay, so what we need to do is bring in color keys for Mel and Tianara. And the I'm going to, by the way, just go ahead and let's just close Blender. I keep inadvertently toggling back to Blender accidentally, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, we need our color key. So let's go here to images, characters. There's Mel. There's Tia. Guess we want both of these actually. The deficit being I'm going to put these guys in a group and call this color keys. Because actually we need another one, unfortunately, because Tianara's color key doesn't include the hoodie that she was wearing for just a short time in the show. So I'm going to dump this in here and put it into the color keys. Okay, so that's that. Now what we're going to do is let's do a little resizing to organize our workspace. Okay, so first let's turn on Mel and just hit the A key. And mainly I just want to get it to where it's not in the way of the drawing of him. So that's fine. Done. Alright, so now let's look at Tianara. And let's look at her color key. This one, let's get it over here. That'll work. This one, let's get it away from her. Okay, and with that we can move forward. So just for fun, let's go ahead and see if we can get away with working in behind mode. Generally ill-advised, but what the heck? Let's try it anyway. So we're going to hit the fill tool. Okay, and by the way, I think we're pretty safe here. If I really want to play it safe, I can work in behind mode, but I should just copy the outlines. Just in case I need to go back and make a change. And by doing this, I could always just take the lines and add a filter mask to change the color if I needed to do that. I don't think I'm going to need to because these ink lines look like they're about the right color. Now, that I lost my color sample. So boom, boom, boom. Not too bad. Other than the fact that it's not in behind mode, which is a bit silly. Alright. Let me look at my color key again. Yeah, that's correct. That's what we want. So, alright, I'm not gonna sweat the details here too much. Let's get that color in there. And we can just keep moving forward. Okay, so for her skin, is that Mel? I think that, nope, that's Mel. So yeah, this is what we want. Cool. Behind mode, yep. Okay, so now we got to be a little careful. If we're going to do the behind mode thing, then we need to guard the eyes. Because once they're filled in, it becomes a little bit of a pain to unfill them, if you will. That's the disadvantage. The advantage is that I can't accidentally, see I'm scribbling, I can't accidentally wreck anything that has been previously painted. So that's the advantage of behind mode. So it makes it easier to go in and just scribble in the fixes as needed. Okay, so let's grab that. Actually, let's get her eye. I mentioned in an earlier bit about kind of working out from the inside, from the smallest to the largest. So this is what I was talking about. Now I can just go like this and just scribble across here, and it's just going to do what it needs to do. Okay, get this all colored in, tightened up, and here, same thing. Probably not strictly necessary since the resolution is sufficiently low that, and the background's going to be dark, so it's going to, this is like my gray just covered up a bit of her goatee, but you can't see it, so no problem. Okay, let's go ahead and get, we definitely have some small areas here. Oh, that filled remarkably well. Not bad at all. Alright, let's just kind of cheat here a little bit by going like that and filling this. I don't want to nitpick the blade situation too much, so I'm just going to do that and then actually pick a darker gray here to fill that in with. Okay, and then let's just add a tiny hint of color tonality to the handle. That really wasn't enough. Let's just a little more. Yeah, just a little bit of color there. Okay, so cloak. Are we gonna get lucky? Looks like we did. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's double check. I'm pretty sure I got this right, but let's, yeah. Okay, yeah, so what is missing, by the way, is her belt buckle. It looks to me like her little armbands, well, I know from other shots I did that those are actually supposed to be gold colored, so fine. Fine, fine, fine. So that means we need to actually make a slight correction here. Nope. Come on, baby. Okay, this is this color, and then these are going to be easy to fill in because we're in behind mode. No, we're not. Stop, stop. If you switch brushes, unfortunately, it jumps back to normal mode, which I think is a little silly, but hey, that's just one guy's opinion. Let me check some things here about her belt. Looks like a slightly olive color. Where is that? Oh, there it is. Boom. Yeah, so this is actually wrong. The color key is wrong, unfortunately. Okay, so what do we want to do here? I'm kind of... This is so small on the screen that I'm kind of fudging. I'm fudging. What can I say? Boom. So, yeah, it's always a bit of a drag when you got to put in this much detail by hand, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's all part of the game. It's all part of the process. Am I right? Yes, of course I'm right. Alright, so fill. Excuse me. No, I do not have COVID-19. I actually think I already had it in February. We had a pretty good flu come through that had pretty much all the characteristics of COVID-19. And that was slightly before the big pandemic happened, but pretty sure we had it. Because there was about 2 weeks there of pretty nasty dry coughing and all the rest. So, there we go. Now what we need to do, okay, actually this is a great example of where doing it in behind mode was actually a really bad idea. However, here's what we can do. I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to copy it over to here. Why? Well, because I actually saved myself by making this little copy. So now in this keyframe, I'm going to go ahead and do a selection right there and just delete that. Okay, and then here, let me see here. Okay, yeah, and actually I shouldn't have, let me show, this is actually kind of important. What I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more of this and delete it. And then what you really want to do for what I'm trying to do here fix-wise is hit Control-Shift-Insert, which reverses the selection, it inverts it, and then in this layer hit delete again. Whoops. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, dyslexia moment, just saying. So that is fine. I need to turn this off. My brain literally can't process this. So what I want is to get rid of this keyframe, and then I think that when I inverted the selection it didn't work. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. It's not Control Shift Insert, it's Control Shift I. Okay. Now if we take these two layers and we go ahead and bake this one down to this one, I think we should have the desired result. So that's completely my fault. It does certainly underscore where working in behind mode. The situation I just had would have been solved in half the time if I had had the paint on a separate layer entirely. However, it is fixed. So that's that. Okay, so we're only on 3s is kind of the rule. So for her, I'm going to have her 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Da da da. Da da da. That works. Okay, let's save that. Okay, we definitely need a shadow layer. We just established that the light is actually coming in this way now. Previously she was backlit. Now she's turned into the light. So we need to add her lip sync, I would say. But you know what? Why burden ourselves with the performance penalty of adding the lip sync until we have to? So screw that. Let's go back to Mel and get him painted. Boom. Oops, wrong layer there, fella. Cool. So in this particular shot, we're not showing his irises, right? So now let's just keep this simple, simple, simple. Simple, simple, simple. Okay, that's all right. We'll deal with shadows later. Okay, so now this is an example of where the hang on, can't think and talk at the same time. Wristbands. Where the inking in Blender went really well. We're not getting any leaks happening, so that's cool. Shirt and trim. So this is the trim, trim, shirt, 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 shirt. You know, as soon as I say that, of course, we'll get a leak. Okay, and we'll just color that way. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to just do the old scribble technique to deal with some of these details that, frankly, their color doesn't matter much. Right here. So Mel's done, other than shadows. Obviously, we need to put a shadow layer on him, but cool. Okay, so with that, we don't actually need the color keys anymore. So I'm going to delete the entire complex layer. There's Monkey, there's Tia. This is the sketch. Let me check. Okay, yeah, so what I'm going to do is move this up, and I'm going to select everything. Actually, I'm not going to leave the dialogue in there, so I'm going to select everything. Delete that. And now, if I'm not mistaken, let me just double check here that we're saving everything in the right place, and it looks like we are. So 7, so other than the fact that that's actually wrong, our label is wrong. Let's do a little erasure. and make this what it's supposed to be, which is ping.cra. I can't overstate how useful it is to look at the shots on the storyboard and know exactly what and where the files are that represent those shots. Just writing it on top has been so helpful. So anyway, that's that. So let's deal first with whether the background needs to be a background and a foreground is debatable, but I say we do it in 2 layers. So this is going to be called branch, just because Murphy's Law says we're going to want to make changes once we get things in there. So let's first of all, let's keep this as simple as possible by filling this with black. We know what direction the moon is shining from. So we're just going to broadly, we're still in behind mode, sorry guys. Just going to, just a little indication like that. Okay? Now if we unsolo that layer, obviously it's a mess, and I don't think it makes any sense to continue without getting that branch in there. So in all reality, the tree is helping to frame in the whole shot. So really, we can do this, and just a slight indication of the branch that the monkey's mounted on, if you will. Okay, so now we do have a little bit of an issue with the color of monkey. I think that we should make him a blue cast instead of brown, because brown is kind of the overall color of the tree. And so let's just do it as a colorized layer. We can shift the hue to whatever we want, but let's just say kind of a moon kind of color. And then let's go ahead and crank the saturation, but then turn the lightness down and kind of see how that feels. Okay, so yeah, it'll definitely be easy for him to get lost. So probably we want to be a little less aggressive with the saturation, but I'm going to make this a filter mask. I mean, look, we're not applying it to a bunch of animation, so there's not a big penalty here. And what that means is that any time after the shot's done, I can hit F3 and I can make adjustments to this later on to really dial it in as it relates to the rest of the composition. So that's that. And now what we will do, this is the branch, so we're going to deal with the ground basically separately. In the background, I will say right now, just while I'm thinking about it, let's just go ahead and just basically put in some noise here with a little bit of indication of greenery. But nobody's going to really be paying attention to this, so we just want to put something in there. Okay, so now we're back to the branch, and I'm going to actually keep this, strike that. I've done that a few times in the past and it hasn't actually worked out that well. So now what I'm going to do is come up into the brown zone a little bit, and what I want to do is work. Probably the best way to do this, the smart way, would be put this in a group and add a layer. Okay, so this layer is going to be alpha locked, therefore I can't accidentally go outside of the lines. See what I mean? Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just going to dial in the local color of what I kind of think is going on with the tree. Just dial in the local color. What is the basic color trend of the entire object? Okay. Alright, and in this case, I'm actually going to allow myself to do something I don't often do, which is a slight blend. And now, of course, this layer can be dialed in as aggressively as possible. It honestly looks about right the way it is, and I'm going to go ahead and do another layer. In this case, once things are pretty well looking good, I will definitely bake this down to a single layer. Okay? So in this case, I can make this contrast much brighter, knowing full well that I'm going to tone it down here shortly. Okay? So we're just going to dial in some bark action, right? That's all we're going to do. Okay, and then let's go ahead and work some shading back into that. Let's get a little bit of the light stuff here. Obviously, what I don't want to do is think about the monkey shadow. And by the way, we actually need to put a little bit of a indication here that the that there is a branch kind of coming out of the tree. I like this. I actually like this kind of a lot. So let's go ahead and do that and put another one kind of right there. Okay. All right, now let's see what happens if we dial this in. Okay, my sense is that you do want the partial transparency, but you also want a little more contrast. So I'm going to just go ahead and do it this way. See. Yeah. Okay. 1 pixel blur. Just to soften things up a bit. And it feels a little strong. Let me think about how I want to do this. Let's cheat. Let's actually put this in a layer. Okay, that's interesting. Better save our work. Krita might be acting funky. Oh. Right. We want the group to be alpha locked, not the individual layer. Okay, and the reason I did that is I want to add another layer, and then, believe it or not, what I'm going to do is just add a gradient like that. And yeah. Okay, so I'm going to bake that layer, and I'm actually going to bake it down twice so that we are and I'm going to flatten the group. Okay, now I have to go back to being a painter. I have to be a painter again. Let's flip this. Excuse me. Okay, now this seems to be like a, you would think this would have a little bit of a sort of a lip to it. I don't want to be too explicit with that, but okay, let's flip it back. I feel like generally want to turn my opacity down at this point. That didn't work. feels okay. So the idea is for the detail to just get a little bit of a highlight on it so it can sort of emerge at its own pace. I'm being careful right now not to lift the brush up, because once I do that, it's gonna it's gonna do another round of adding a level of opaque color. Okay, so now having done that, I'm gonna just go to black here. Again, opacity really low. Let's just dial that in. That's fine. I think we're in good shape with the tree. Little bit of harsh shadow action here, I think, is good, helping the tree to pop a bit. Okay, good on the tree. Better save our work. Boom. Okay, so basically what do we have here? I'm going to actually cheat here a little bit by adding a second layer with a neutral color. Just fill it, and then I'm going to add a filter of random noise. Okay, and I'm going to put the, I'm going to actually unsolo that, and the random noise, I think we'll put it in overlay mode just to see what happens. Yeah, that'll be okay. I'm going to duplicate that and see what happens. Okay, that's not too bad, actually. That's actual size. So let's filter this. Where'd my filter go? Let's do that again. I'm just going to rotate this around and kind of sort of hope I wind up in the green zone. Okay, so again, looking at the actual size, I think that level of grain is pretty good. So this is too much. So let's go, let's solo this layer to see what its actual color is. So the color is good. Let's multiply that. Boy, that... I'm going to keep going. I'm going to add even another layer in addition mode. Doesn't seem to really do anything. Oh, well, that's because I didn't make a duplicate. Silly goose. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's land there. Oh yeah, so there's our branch. So let's go bake this down. Okay, and that didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is because of the layer blending modes. What we need to do is put it in a group and then merge the group. Then what Krita does essentially is pre-bakes it. Alright, and now just for fun, I'm going to put that back in a group again and add another layer. And what this is going to be is this is going to be the shadow that's cast by the tree. So we're just going to, we need to crank this opacity up actually. And I think that it would be best if the shadow kind of goes past these guys as opposed to going over them, because just then we have to fiddle with how it interacts with their own shadows, which, you know, why would we want to screw with that if we can avoid it, right? Okay, so now I am going to say we can merge this layer, boom, And these two guys, I'm not going to merge them, but I am going to put them in a group and call it BKGD. Okay, now, in front of this, let's add some foliage. Okay, and I'm going to sample this color. Whoa, that's interesting. Boom, boom. That's it. Just a little indication, little something. Yeah, I don't want that one up there. That doesn't help. Okay, let's add cast shadows for these guys as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, it would be wise to put it on its own layer so that we can just make it black and then dial it in, right? So let's make this, hello, let's make this bigger. Make sure we have our perspective at least kind of sort of right. And again, we'll just kind of recapitulate the shadow of the tree, thusly. And then what we want to do is just kind of feel it, ease it in, not too harsh. And then let's take this and blur it. And of course, Krita pops up the dialogue exactly in the wrong place. Okay. We're almost done with the background. This is kind of just sort of cheating. Okay. Now the basic problem that we have at this point, for me, has to do with the ground. I don't like the, I've kind of overused the texture brush kind of a lot. So let's see what we have here. That's probably not what we want. Okay, let's grab this color. That's not too bad. Come on. Which layer are you? Okay, yeah, actually that brush is not too bad for what I was trying to do here. Just add some indications of something that kind of feels like the ground. Just noise. We just need some noise to break up the perfect uniformity of it. Okay. These guys should sit all in the mix pretty nicely once they've got their shadows. So let's go like this. Here's Tia. Need to put her in a group. Mel needs to be in a group. He needs to have a shadow layer, SHD, boom. Tia needs to have a shadow layer, SHD, boom. These need to be alpha locked. And now let's go back to our standard brush we tend to use for shadows. Okay. And I'm going to kind of leave this lost in shadow, specifically so that when she shakes her fist, it just stays in the shadows. I don't have to keep reworking it. Okay, there would be a cast shadow there, definitely under her hoodie. And now let's dial it in. Okay. And like I said, I'm just going to do that so that that works. Alright, I'm going to just chisel back into this a little bit. Excuse me. Hello? Shadow? Oh, I'm in erase mode. Well, of course I am, you silly goose. Boom. Boom. Feels about right. I got a little spot right there I don't like. Probably that would be kind of making sense. I'm going to take the erase mode and just chisel back out of that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Save our work. And now the question simply becomes, what about the monkey? Great question. Basically, we want him to be fairly light. Let me say that again. We want him to be as dark as possible, but no darker. This could be potentially improved a bit by putting monkey in a group, adding a layer above with a gradient going from white to like that, but we alpha lock it. And what that lets us do is add just a little bit of a push to one side of him, and then we can take the whole we can take this whole adjustment which keeps turning on exactly where I don't want it to. Okay, so I want to go just like that. We'll keep that. I like that. Looks pretty good. Yep. I'm going to flatten this layer. I'm committing. Control E. Boom. Okay. Well, that didn't quite work. There we go. Yeah, it's just a static layer, so monkey. That's it. Save our work. which updates over here. And yeah, so the only thing missing is her lip sync. Right. Kind of forgot about the lip sync. Okay, the background. Let's see what this is. Okay, that's Mel. This is Mel. Mel. Yeah, we've only got a 200 megabyte memory footprint at this point, so that's pretty impressive. So we should be able to bring in the lip sync, and didn't I pre-render that? It seems to me that I did. Yep. Yep. Okay, so that's pretty brain dead. We just need to go here and go File, Import Animation Frames, Add Images, 701B, TIA Lip Sync, grab everything, and watch your memory footprint go through the roof. But that's okay. And we're still under a gigabyte, so let's save our work, just because we don't want to lose it at this point. And now let's see what happens when we play back. Okay, so you can see the problem. The problem is that here, in these frames, okay, so this is a great example of something I was talking about earlier. The problem we have now is we need to erase her face, and we need to erase it through the whole thing, and I don't want to go into every single frame and redo the erasing. That would be stupid. So here's how we do it. We just add a layer, make it semi-transparent, and make it bright red. Why? Because now I can take this bright red, paint over this. Guess what? Actually, I'm screwed. I just realized, you know why I'm screwed? Because of that. However, actually, not so much. Here's why. All we need to do is put another layer underneath, sample this color, and this isn't going to have any animation or anything. And is there a selection right now? Okay, I'm a little confused because I'm yes, it's because of this erase layer. Okay, so those two need to be in a group. So we can just go like this. Okay, this is definitely a bit of a major pain. Okay, is this the lip sync layer? Okay, so the lip sync layer, this is going to require yet one more layer to fix her eyes, but that's fortunately not a big deal. So this layer, okay, this can be baked. This can be baked down. So now we got the lip sync over top, which, by the way, we're going to actually make a slight adjustment to the lip sync because I want it to be slightly transparent but not her eyes. So this is really this is a great exercise. Find out how you solve some really tricky problems. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do here is, and again, if the paint was on a separate layer, I never would have had these problems. So that's just something to be aware of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of cheat my eye color here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, right? So now there's the lip sync. Okay, so this is the eye shade. And now what we're going to do, believe it or not, is we're going to grab these layers, group them, and within that group, we're going to add an erase layer. Okay, so that, okay, and by the way, I'm literally really having to think some things through here on the fly. I'm going to just because it's more intuitive to me, I'm going to make the erase layer black. Okay. So now if I put it in erase mode, it just got rid of her mouth, but what we're going to do is we're going to dial in the transparency of just her mouth. Okay. If everything looks right, I'll go ahead and bake that stuff down. And it looks really good. So this is a group. Let's bake the group. Merge the group, as it were. Okay. And so this is just her face. There we go. I'm not going to bake it any further than that. And this is her Tia body. That's that. Okay, and our footprint's only 700, and we're still under a gigabyte, so not too shabby. And it plays back just fine. What'd she say? That's my roasted turnip. That's my roasted turnip. Cool. And I would say with that, that's been an hour. So I would say we are done for now. And as you guys know, there will be more later. It's time for lunch.